Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Soul Health with Nurse Blue, and guess what? I am Nurse Blue. And so for the next few minutes, I am about to live up to my name, sweetheart. That's right. I am about to build you. That's the B. I'm here to love you. That's the L. I'm here to unite us. That's the U. And I'm here to empower us. And that is the E about my favorite subject. Hopefully by the end of this, it's yours, and it's called soul health. So for those of you who might be challenged with a health situation right now, health condition, you need to reverse a health condition, or you're trying to prevent a health condition, and you are looking for natural holistic modalities to support you, then I am here for you. Soul Health is your solution. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up right now, because I want to jump in here and support those of you who might be going through something like this. This is something that happened to me over 20 years ago, and I am super excited that in this month, I don't know when you're going to see it, but in March, I changed my life because of this. All right. So somebody's life is about to improve. I might be the answer prayer you have been asking for. So let's jump into it. How many of you might be feeling like there's a hole in your soul? Now, that's not quite a diagnosis, but trust me, it's real. I lived with it. I had lived with it at that point for many, many years, right? So 20 years ago, I was suffering from a hole in my soul. And what that meant was that on the outside, my life looked great. Okay, it looked absolutely like a life that most people wanted to live, right? But I was just decorating my pain. And in many instances, guys, I was suffering with so much fear, so much anxiety. I had not been diagnosed because, quite frankly, I was in denial. But I was suffering with so much fear, so much anxiety. I was also participating in toxic relationships, right? So for many years, I had been in a relationship with a family member that was very toxic. And it was toxic because there was a lot of bullying taking place. That was not being addressed, but I was still trying to work it out. I was also in unhealthy dating relationships and wasn't taking the time to do the internal work to find out why I was attracting all of this. So here I was, living this life on the outside that looked like something that was, I was doing the damn thing, as they would say. But on the inside, I was suffering from internal chaos. I needed peace. I couldn't find peace. And how many of you all know that if you don't have peace, it doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how big your house is, doesn't matter who you're dating, doesn't matter where you're traveling. Honey, if you do not have peace, none of it is worth it, right? And, to be very honest with you, looking back at that time in my life, not only was I unhappy, but I was projecting pain all around me, because that's how I actually learned how to deal with my pain. I learned how to have pride, to walk around like I wasn't the problem, and then, suppress that pain inside of me. Learn how to distract myself. How was I distracting myself at that time? Well, I was working. I became a workaholic. I was constantly, I had a hard time being by myself. So whenever I felt uncomfortable, I either got on the phone or, went and hung out with friends, created some form of distraction. I was drinking more. I was living a lifestyle that was out of harmony with who I was, but I did not know how to get off of this treadmill. And quite frankly, at the heart of someone who was living with a hole in their soul, essentially I was suffering from a lack of self-love. And I didn't know how to self-love. I was self-caring, right? So on the outside, everything looked good. I could put a smile on my face. And when people asked me, how you doing? I would say, oh, I'm fine. I'm wonderful. But inside, at night, when, it was time for me to go to sleep, I was dealing with the signs and symptoms of a broken soul. So I had a hard time sleeping. It had resulted in me being diagnosed with psoriasis. And that's when I realized, there's something deeper inside of me. So 20 years ago, I decided I wanted to totally transform my life. And maybe this is where you are. So what that looked like for me was, And looking back on it, this was not necessarily the right way to handle it, but this is all I knew at the time. It's like, okay, I want to transform my life. Okay, maybe I need to get married. Maybe I need to have a child. Maybe I need to find a new job. Maybe I need to move away from Chicago. Maybe I need to find something else outside of myself to seal this hole in my soul, right? That I still was in denial of, right? But guess what? I did exactly that. I timeline jumped, meaning I changed my life immediately. And what it did was it prepared me to go down this journey of finding out really what the root of what the problem was that was happening inside of me. And now I am a blessing for someone out there who might be experiencing this. So here's at the root of what was going on inside of me. Guys, I did not know what self-love was all about. I had never been introduced to self-love, and none of the women in my life had taught me what self-love was either, because many of us don't know what self-love is. And as I learned and have worked with women throughout my career, have built, really solid relationships with women in all walks of life. It does not matter what I think is at the root. What I know for sure is at the root of why there are so many health challenges in the world, so much fear, so much chaos, so much anxiety, so many mental health issues. It's because we have not been taught how to love our souls back to health. And guess what? That means that at the heart of what many of us are suffering from is something that your doctor or your medical practitioner might not diagnose, but I feel very confident in letting you know that you could be suffering from an imbalanced endocannabinoid system. And you're probably like, what? Yes, I know. I know you would probably be like, what? Because that's what once I realized that that's what I was suffering from, first of all, I got super excited to learn about this system that I was not taught in nursing school. And if you're a nurse, you weren't taught this system either in nursing school. And if you were a doctor, very few doctors even know this system exists, which means that it's not being taught to our doctors. So that means it's important for you to know how to manage this system. I call her Lady E, okay? So the endocannabinoid system is short for ECS, all right? And I want to help you build a relationship with the ECS, because when you give the ECS, which is the system that controls all of the other 11 systems in your body, it's a biochemical system. When you give her, she's a she, what she needs, she's going to give you everything you want, okay? And what she needs most and foremost is peace. And when you give her peace, she will give you joy. So let me help you understand a little bit more about this wonderful system in your body. I'm going to look at my notes right now, because many of you are experiencing signs and symptoms of things that can be preventable and certainly are reversible once you build a relationship with her. Now, first and foremost, what she regulates is so important. She regulates your appetite and your digestion. She regulates your mood and your emotions. She regulates your sleep and your wakefulness. She regulates your pain perception. I know there are a lot of people out there who are impacted by inflammation. Why? Because when we are stressed, when we are living with fear, when we are living in a state of fight or flight, cortisol is increased, and cortisol that's a hormone in our body that when she's elevated, she becomes a danger, right? And she starts going all over our system. And we start feeling her in our joints. Sometimes, you hear about heart disease's number one killer. Well, cortisol is partially the reason why that is the case. When you hear about my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. He spent much of his career, if not all of his career, living in a state of stress, right? And that had an impact on the blood vessels in the brain. So the ECS is a wonderful system that helps to bring us back into a state of balance, which we refer to in the world of, in the medical world, is homeostasis. That means you want to keep her happy, right? And what I realized was that with me not knowing what this system was, with me not understanding it till much later in life, how could I have known how to keep her happy? How could I have known how to love myself when, you know, the people in my life didn't know how to introduce me to the ECS. My doctors had not introduced me to the ECS. I didn't learn about the ECS until 5 years ago. But isn't it a blessing that I can share it with you now? And the American Nurses Association has provided us the tools to support us in making this a specialty area, right? The endocannabinoid system. So soul health, and the soul health is an area of health where you need to build a relationship with the ECS, Lady E. And I am absolutely thrilled that we are at the time in our lives where we can learn more about how this beautiful system of self-governance, this beautiful system of self-love can help us at this time in our lives receive the peace, receive the joy. She is the transportation to us becoming the best version of our life. And I want to share with you the number one tool that you can easily activate when her enemy, chronic stress or fear, shows up. This is the tool that you can pull out of your medicine cabinet that, honey, when they show up, fear and stress has to sit down, all right? And I know for all of you medical professionals, and particularly you nurses, when I break this one out, you're going to be like, okay, yes, this is in alignment with what we've been taught. And this is called the ABCs, okay? So the ABCs is the airway, breathing, and circulation, right? That's what the foundation is for nursing, and I would say probably for medicine here in this country, right? So when you activate the power of the breath, deep breathing, that's a best friend to Lady E. So when you think about Lady E, this is why she's important, guys, because Lady E stands for she gives you emotional support. Yes. She helps to maintain your energy in a balanced state, okay? And she also helps to empower your body. That's why it's important that you honor her, right? So I want you to say right now, before we get into learning how to take the proper deep breath, right? I want you to say to yourself, because the ECS is it's a system of receptors. The CB1 receptors are located in your brain. So I want you to put your hands on top of your head right now, and I want you to say, I love my ECS because she loves to be talked to sweetly, nicely, right? I love my ECS, okay? And now I want you to give yourself a hug because the rest of her receptors are all throughout your body, right? And I want you to say, I love my ECS. Give her the affirmation that she deserves, since the medical industry is not putting any respect on her name. We must do that, okay? So now, since you've loved her, I want to share with you some information that I'm going to include in this. This is a video. I'm going to include a video for Dr. Tracy Marks. Dr. Marks, I love to recommend great doctors because I am a nurse, and I want you to, feel free to do your due diligence. But she's a psychiatrist, and she really helps us to, master resilience for our brains, right? And we need to know how to master mental resilience. So the breath is a really great tool that we can naturally do at any point in time to bring us into a state of harmony when we are triggered, when we feel past trauma show up, like a person who had been living with managing anxiety. Oftentimes when I feel a trigger, I activate the breath so to bring me back into alignment. And it's also a really great way for us to nurture our internal organs by, when you take a deep breath, guys, you're taking in that oxygen into your blood, and that oxygen is being carried to the other vital organs in your body. And so it's really a great way to create a reset. So my favorite way that I deep breathe, it's called the 4-7-8 method. Okay, so this is how it goes. First and foremost, when you take the inhale, you want to inhale 4 breaths, and then you want to hold it for 7 seconds, okay? And then you want to slowly release for 8 seconds, okay? So we're gonna do that in a minute. But before, I wanna share with you the 4 reasons, according to Dr. Tracy Marks, why the breath is so important. Well, first and foremost, it's an emotional regulation. So oftentimes when we're triggered, as I have been many, many times in my life, right? As opposed to allowing those emotions to consume you, and maybe you don't have time, or you're not aware of what's happening, and what you do is, because maybe this is a habit, you allow those emotions to cause you to project on others. So maybe if you're a mother, that might show up with you become overwhelmed and now you start yelling at your children, right? Or maybe if you're a person that's on the road, that can show up in road rage, right? So that can be extremely dangerous, not only for you, but for others. So when you take a deep breath, you're stabilizing your emotions so you won't hurt others, right? The second thing we're doing is great for cognitive function, because when we become overwhelmed by fear, and I say this all the time, chances are that is definitely not the time for you to make important decisions, okay? You want to rebalance so that we can balance our brains, bring harmony back to our brains, so we can make decisions from a balanced point of view, okay? Another thing that you want to do when you take a deep breath, and one of the benefits, it's called introception. Now, that is all about becoming self-aware, really, becoming aware of what's happening inside of you so that you can take authority of the moment. There are so many mistakes that are made and things that people truly regret that they cannot take back because they have become overwhelmed in a moment. And that led to something that either there was a situation where they snapped, or they made a rash decision that they're living with today. And there are people who are in prison today, unfortunately, because it led to a situation where they totally lost control and they hurt themselves and others because they weren't able to go inside and take responsibility for what they were feeling in a healthy state. And so it resulted in them hurting somebody else, okay? And the fourth reason why, when you take that deep breath, one of the wonderful benefits for doing so, it helps us to reset the body. It becomes a stress reset. It calms down that cortisol. It allows us to have authority over what might be happening in our souls, so our thoughts, our emotions, and our habits. And most of all, as I said all the time, I don't want you to activate that cortisol, and I don't want to activate that cortisol, because that cortisol activation could certainly become deadly over time, okay? So I want to invite, for those of you who want to join me in my deep breath, this is my favorite one. And what Dr. Marks does is she offers you several different breathing techniques, because maybe, this one might not be your favorite, or if there might be a situation where you can't hold it for 7 seconds because there might be a respiratory condition, she offers other options. So I'm going to invite you to please take a look at the video. But let me share with you my favorite one. Okay, so it goes like this. All right, so you want to inhale for 4, hold it for 7, and then you want to exhale for 8, okay? All right, so here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 4. Okay, now we are about to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's release. Oh, it feels so good. I love taking that breath because it just brings so much calm to the body. And I'm going to suggest that you do that at least 3 to 5 times to bring your body back into complete harmony. Now, for some of you, this might be something that you're doing for the very first time, or you're open to doing, but you need some practice. The best time to really start practicing this, for me, started first thing in the morning when I wake up, because I do my deep breathing, I move into my meditation, and then by the time I come out of my breathing, my meditation, my prayer time, my devotional time, I am ready for the world. the ECS, honey, is feeling so good. And what she has delivered when I do that is peace, joy, and of course, she's prepared me for my purpose. And my purpose is to always be of service to you. Okay, so for those of you who this may be helpful to, who this message was helpful to right now, because you know you have a hole in your soul and you've done everything that you've been taught to do to heal this, but it's not working because the issue is not outside of you, it's inside of you. And Lady E is perhaps what you need to start building a relationship with right now, the endocannabinoid system, so that she can help you deal with that hole, so that she can help you heal that hole, and that she can help you seal that hole, so that you can learn how to experience an increase and an elevation in your health, in your energy, in your confidence, in your relationships, in your abundance, and build that with the most powerful nutritional supplement, joy. So if you want that joy and that peace and all of what I'm talking about, the real wealth, because that is the real wealth. Wealth is an inside job. If you want that, if you're ready to step into a life where, it blows your mind with the kind of peace you have, and you can reverse some of the stress-related triggered conditions or diseases, and you want to learn more about the ECS, yes, I'm excited for you. I am going to post my link and invite you to get on my calendar so that I can learn more about how I might be able to support you. And it first starts out with an application, something really simple. See, this month, guys, the first step that I would certainly invite you to do if you want to get on this soul health journey is to grab my book, Freedom is a Frequency. You can actually purchase it on Amazon. And in this book, I introduce you to the endocannabinoid system and the 5 simple steps to elevate everything that you want in this life. You want more energy, health, peace, confidence, better relationships, abundance with joy. Who doesn't want that? That's the best life. Well, the way you get there is not with anything outside of you. The way you get there is by building a relationship with Lady E, the endocannabinoid system. And I am here to support you in doing this. I'm actually offering a 3-hour training for those of you who want to learn more about the endocannabinoid system and to give her what she needs so that she can give you what you need. If you want to learn more about that, and if you want to become a part of this training, again, click the link so that you can apply and get on my calendar so we can start working together and you can start really feeling that which you deserve to feel, okay? So with all that being said, guys, I am going to say it only gets better from here. Once you know about the system of self-love that you've been missing, you can start blaming people, places, and things outside of yourself, and you can start doing the work that is required for you to have everything you were born to have, and it comes through soul health, okay? So, guys, if you haven't done so by now, again, I'm going to invite you to share this video with someone who might be experiencing some health challenges. Subscribe to this channel, and let me know down in the chat, have you been experiencing these what I shared with you, that I was, the hole in the soul? Do you feel like you have a hole in your soul? Nothing you're doing is working and you're constantly battling fear. Don't run away from it. Don't let pride stand in your way. No. Surrender your ego and do something about it. Surrender your ego and do something about it. That's what I had to do. I had to be willing to surrender my ego so that my soul would heal. And once I did that, there was no looking back. Now that's what real life feels like, okay? All right, so I'm going to put all the information down there in the description, guys. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to supporting you on your soul health journey. Bye-bye.